Sharing your views. Shifting our focus to Israel, where the Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has met with his Croatian counterpart Grlic-Radman today, and in a joint conference, Saar has strongly condemned the push by several European countries for Palestinian statehood. He warned that unilateral recognition would destabilize the Middle East region and make peace harder to achieve, stressing the importance of bilateral negotiations. Listen in to what he said.
We will not allow the Palestinian Authority, with the aid of foreign countries, to dictate or to determine the final status of disputed territories between us and the Palestinians. It's an illusion to think that the future of Judea and Samaria, the cradle of the Jewish people, will be determined in Paris, in Madrid, or in Brussels. It will be determined only in Jerusalem.
Israeli Foreign Minister strongly emphasized that a future peace agreement must be negotiated directly between Israel and Palestine without any external interferences. This meeting comes amidst growing international calls for Palestinian statehood, particularly ahead of United Nations General Assembly to be held later this month. Joining me on the telecast is Alon Pinkas, who's a former Israeli ambassador. He is joining me from Tel Aviv. Thank you, Ambassador Pinkas. And of course, your first reaction about the Foreign Minister of Israel is in Croatia, and what he has said is he has warned the world and particularly Europe that recognizing Palestine is going to destabilize the Middle East. What do you think is going to be a long-term solution to end the war if it is not recognizing Palestine as a separate state?
Oh my God, the foreign minister contradicted himself twice. First, Israel says that this recognition of a Palestinian state, which hasn't been established, is merely symbolic and declaratory and meaningless. So if that is the case, then why would it destabilize the Middle East as if it's a stable region to begin with? The second is I think he didn't mean it, but nonetheless, it's a contradiction. First, he calls Judea and Samaria, what is known as the West Bank, he calls it the cradle of Jewish civilization, which it is, biblically at least. But then he says these are disputed territories, which is sort of a deviation from government policy. So I don't think he meant it, but it sounds very, to an Israeli ear at least, perhaps less so to an Indian ear, it sounds very strange that he says that. As for the second part of your question, in the absence of a recognition of a Palestinian state, look, there's no question, and in this respect, the foreign minister is correct, that this needs to be decided between Israelis and Palestinians, not by the French, not by the European Union, not by the Americans, not by anyone else. Yet at the same time, for the last 45 years of peace negotiations, that hasn't happened. And so now Israel, being isolated and ostracized as a result of the prosecution of the war in Gaza, is facing a very uncomfortable dilemma, because not the entire, but many countries in the world have recognized a Palestinian state, 147 until now, several more, including Israeli allies, such as France, Australia, New Zealand, Britain, intend to recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly or on the margins of it's in some convention on the conference, on the margins of the UN General Assembly in 2 weeks' time. And that puts a lot of pressure on Israel. Of course, this recognition and these statements are not going to establish a Palestinian state. But it does push Israel into a corner in which, if not a Palestinian state, then Israel has to come up with an alternative or a substitute solution.
Right. All right. Thank you.